Hello, hello, everybody watching in YouTube or SQPN land. We are live on the Catholic Weekend feed, and we'll be starting the recording of episode number 230 momentarily. Hope everybody's doing well. And why do I not see anything in the chat room? How is my sound, by the way? Is my level good, or do I need to bring it up or down?
Sounds good to me.
Sounds good here, yeah.
Super.
Okay. All right. Let me just make sure that everybody can hear this sound. I don't hear it.
This is SQPN, the StarQuest Production Network, leading the way.
Okay. I hear that. You hear that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I'm not going to be singing to myself and listening to music that nobody else hears. Yeah. Well, who's counting, Angela?
Me.
I know.
Jeff.
Okay, here we go.
This is SQPN, the StarQuest Production Network, leading the way.
You're listening to Catholic Weekend, episode number 230 for the week ending Saturday, July 12th, 2014. Good morning and welcome to Catholic Weekend.
I'm your captain.
I'm your captain
I'm your captain.
in Roswell, Georgia.
So I'm feeling.
And joining me today deep in the heart of Texas, Angela Cialona.
Howdy ho, neighbors.
Howdy ho. Or howdy ho, I guess. Let's everybody clap together. All right. Of Texas, and just one state north, in Oklahoma, joining us, Steve Nelson.
Hello, everybody. It's good to be here. Jeff, I have to say something. You made me laugh when you played your song. Because I could have sworn when it started you were going to say, I'm a kung fu fighter.
I'm a what? Oh, hang on, I got to turn the music off so I can hear what you're saying. What?
Oh.
What was I going to
When
say?
you started playing your music,
Yeah.
it sounded like kung fu fighter.
Everybody's kung fu fighting. Maybe I should do that one next week. We'll have to see. Well, also joining us from the West. Well, this is kind of a Western show, except for me. So, Father Corey.
There's a rodeo in Montana.
Stika.
Stika. I got to make sure to correct because I know the chat room will get after me.
I know, they're going to be all over me.
All over that
Okay, let's do this again. Let's see. All right, so the edit point right here. I'm not really going to edit it, just letting you know. And
If you did that, we'd be doing that all day long.
joining us from Montana, Father Corey Stika.
Third time's a charm, Jeff.
Father Corey.
There we go. There's a reason why I don't go by my first name usually.
A good reason. Okay, let's listen to Chris Ledoux serenade us in the Montana Rodeo. All right, that's enough. Although, you know what? I think it would be more enjoyable, more entertaining to just listen to that song and call it a day at Catholic.
Oh, I have a good feeling for this show.
Do you?
I did. I don't know why.
Well, Steve?
I have no prior history to base that on.
No, you don't. Our track record would indicate, no, you're wrong. So how have you been, Steve? What's up?
Oh gosh, it's interesting. It's very, very interesting. I've got some job possibilities coming up, and it's what's weird is, ever since I came back from Papua New Guinea, I've been trying to decide what to do next. So I've been kind of floating for a while, and it's like, oh, no opportunity. Couldn't find anything, and now it's like I'll probably have two to choose from that are very different and conflicting, and it's like, oh, Really?
Well, would you like for all of us that are listening right now to pray for your discerning and making
Absolutely.
arrangements?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. So you really can't say anything about them on the show, of course.
No, not at this point. You know how that is.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah, I know. Well, I have a question for you, Steve. Now,
Yes.
I mentioned last episode about the lady named Amelia Earhart, Amelia Rose Earhart,
Mhm.
doing reenacting or recreating or whatever you want to call it, the around the world adventure of the original Amelia Earhart. Well, actually, this one made it further than Amelia Earhart did, the original one, and but she did depart from. The question I have for you is a little town in Papua New Guinea called Lae. How do you pronounce that?
Lay.
Lay. Oh, okay, that's easy.
Lay. Mhm.
So yeah, so that was the last time that anybody saw the Amelia Mary Earhart before she disappeared. So she left from there and then flew over Howland Island, which is where Amelia was trying to land, and continued on to I don't know, some other island like Christmas Island or something like that before they continued on to Hawaii. But she's in Hawaii now, so she only has really one more segment of the adventure left in that around the world reenactment. So
Wow. Gosh. Well, I wish her luck. I mean,
yeah, me too.
that's
It's pretty.
quite an achievement when you think about it. I mean, you've probably flown in the Pacific, haven't you? And it's big.
Yeah, it's that's the best way to describe it. It's big. It's
Well, I mean, when you fly across the Atlantic, it's 6 or 7 hours, and that seems really big, really long. But when you try to go across the Pacific and it's 15 hours of open water, you realize just how big it can be.
It is, and there's a reason why they call the Atlantic the pond, and they don't call the Pacific the pond because it's not a pond. It's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you go for hours and hours and hours, and you hope that your navigation system on your airplane is working correctly because you really don't have any idea until you see like a small little speck of an island down below you, and you go, oh, that does look like the island that we're supposed to see, so we're on track.
That's why when I was flying down to Papua New Guinea and back, how on some of the planes you can put up the map and they'll show your progress. I refuse to look at that when I'm going that way because it doesn't move, and all you see is your plane and a vast blue.
Right.
With nothing else, and
It could be anywhere.
Well, I don't want to obsess. It's like, what would happen? What would happen? What would happen? What would happen?
Have you seen the show Lost?
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least they found land. I don't think
that's true. Yeah. Or what was the one with Tom Hanks? And he had the little basketball or volleyball.
Castaway.
Yeah, Castaway.
Well done.
Well done. All right. Well, let's see. Angela, how have you been this past week?
I've been busy, man. Well, first, I don't know if I mentioned this on this show, but we have had, at our apartment, we've had like an infestation of wasps on our balcony. And I know Jennifer Fulweiler talks a lot about her aversion to wasps here in Texas, but they are just little devils, and we just don't go out on our balcony. So I think we had probably about 5 nests on our tiny little apartment balcony, and we had the guy finally come and get rid of them, and now our balcony looks like there was some kind of a massacre of bugs. It's just like all these dead bug bodies everywhere. So that happened, but of course they came back with a vengeance, and they're building their nest right over again. So besides that, I had a friend, well, I have a friend, he's still my friend, hopefully, who is a religious brother, and he is venturing off to Mexico for an immersion experience to try to learn Spanish. Conversational Spanish, you can take classes as much as you want, but when it comes to speaking with another person and holding a conversation, it's totally different. So he's going to be in the mountains of Puebla, Mexico for 6 weeks, and so we threw him a surprise party at the brother's house this week, and it was tons of fun just to see his reaction when he walked in, and we had a sombrero there for him, and we're playing mariachi music, and we're all like waving these little maracas everywhere, and his mouth was just wide open, like, what? So, and then of course we had a piñata, and that was totally fun. So anyways, I have tons of candy from the piñata, and just wishing him well in this new adventure.
Well, that's interesting. That sounds like the same program that a lot of the priests here in Tulsa have gone to. Pretty much all of the priests at one time or another have gone down there for 6 weeks.
Yeah, he's going to stay with members of a religious community that's very close to his religious order, because he belongs to a new community called the Brothers of the Beloved Disciple, and they're an offshoot of the Marianist Brothers. So he's going to be staying with the Marianist Brothers in Puebla. So.
The young man that's currently running my house, he told me just a couple of days ago that he is most likely going to join the Franciscan Friars of the Renewal up in New York.
Oh, awesome.
He's visited them several times, and I think he's, in another year, when they start their next class, he might be there.
Is that the Father Benedict Groeschel organization? I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cool.
And Father Stan Fortuna also, the rapping priest.
Ain't no party like a Catholic party.
Ain't no party like a Catholic. Because the Catholic party don't stop.
Hey, is Dan there, Angela? Does he want
No,
to
he's not. He's at work. Actually,
I thought he was
he's
not
at
doing that anymore.
He's at work because yesterday he got a flat tire on the highway, and he had to get a couple things fixed. Besides, we had to get new tires anyway, so he got new tires and then a couple other things the car needed, and so he had to work today to make up for his work yesterday that he missed.
I saw something on social media about having a flat tire on the road is not a cool thing.
Yeah, but thankfully he kept his cool, and he was safely got off the highway, and thanks be to God, everything's okay. So,
yeah, really. Great. Well, say hi to him for us.
Will do.
All right. And last but certainly not least, Father Corey, how have you been? Well, first of all, everybody that listens to and watches Catholic Weekend should know who you are. Mm-hmm. And you're usually, every week, you're usually with us in the chat room. Mm-hmm. And so you certainly don't need an introduction to those folks. But just in case somebody is listening to the show for the first time, God bless them, who the heck are you, Father Corey, and where are you from, and what are you doing, and all that?
Well, I'm a priest from the Diocese of Great Falls Billings. We're the eastern 2/3 of the state of Montana. So take a map of the state of Montana, cut it into a third, western third, and the eastern 2/3, and that's basically my diocese. Yeah, we're like 94. Yeah. 94,000 square miles. We're the fourth largest diocese in the country. So we're...
And only 5 Catholics in that entire diocese.
Pretty close. Feels like it some days. I'm the pastor of St. Mary's Parish in Malta, Montana, with a couple of mission parishes either side. They're close. They're only 18 miles and 26 miles away. So I only have to drive 100 miles on a weekend. It's an easy drive. Vehicle barely gets warmed up, you know.
I know. I think the speed limit's like 100 or something like that, isn't it?
Some days I wish. It's 70. I mean, so it's not like it's
70.
a slow trip.
I thought it was like even higher than 70.
Interstates are 75. We haven't quite gotten up to Texas standards in 80 yet.
Yeehaw.
Yeah.
Is 80 really? They have 80 in Texas.
I think if you get way out there,
like
but,
out west.
Yeah, we're not in danger of hitting anybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. There's like just cactus and tumbleweeds.
Straight as a stick. Watch out for those tumbleweeds. You can use those for at Christmas time.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes, you can. You always bring up that little chestnut.
I'm sorry, I just something that sticks in my head like a tumbleweed. That's all I have. All right. So, hey, we thought we'd bring you on, Father Corey, not only because we just enjoy having you on the show, but also because you, along with others, other priests, are involved in a sports show called The Sports Fathers, and you can find that at thesportsfathers.com. And let's see, Father Daryl and Father Kyle Sanders and you, and then some others occasionally, kind of a rotating panel, kind of like this show, I guess, except for we don't really talk about sports because the only person on this show that likes sports is me. So,
Say what?
do you like sports? Oh, that's right, you like basketball.
I like basketball pretty much exclusively, but I'll watch other things like tennis. Tennis is
Well, you know what am I saying?
things
Steve
going
likes
on.
sports. He goes to baseball games. I don't know what the heck.
College football,
Yeah,
Right.
I don't think you actually listen to the show.
baseball.
Don't tell anybody that. Really listen. What are you all talking about? That's why I don't do the show notes. Lynn Francisco, hi Lynn, does the show notes because she actually pays attention to what we're saying. And if I did the show notes, I'd just it'd be nothing. No,
Jeff just kind of blabbers.
I just blabber. That's true. I do.
Yeah.
Rambling.
So, World Cup.
Yes, that's the. Thank you for getting us right back on that track. World Cup soccer, and the final two teams have been determined, and one from Germany and one from Argentina. And I was just admitting before the show that I didn't even think, and they gave me a bad time because obviously I'm not watching social media or, paying attention to anything, reading the newspaper or anything like that. I actually watched the games, but I didn't think about the ramifications of the fact that Pope Benedict from Germany and Pope Francis from Argentina. So some people are calling it the World Pope Cup, right?
I made that up. I mean, maybe other people
You
have.
did that? Okay.
Well, I was just trying to
trademark.
put it into an email. So
Trademark Steve.
I've been loving the Catholic memes on that, where it's the two popes facing off.
yeah.
Yeah.
Some pretty great stuff that people have been putting out around that.
So if you just use the physical characteristics of the two popes, it seems like Argentina would have the edge. Maybe? No?
Perhaps, but there was this great. Did anyone else see this great video of Pope Francis talking about how people have been telling him to quit praying for Argentina because every time he does, they win.
Well, I mean, everybody knows that infallibility means that if the Pope says something about football or anything else, that it happens, right? Because he's got that direct line. Oh, wait a minute. Do I have a...
No.
No? Oh.
Heresy.
That's a heresy? Oh, my bad.
Yeah.
Heresy!
Just in case you don't know, you're watching the show and you're going, well, I thought that was true. Isn't that what infallible means? And no, infallibility. Well, I'm going to let the priest on our program tell us exactly what infallibility means. Pajamas.
I'm supposed to know that?
Yes, you are supposed to know that.
Oh, yeah, I guess that's my job, isn't it? Well, infallibility means that when the Pope teaches on matters of faith and morals and does it as part of the ordinary magisterium, he is infallible. He cannot teach error. And yeah, that doesn't mean that if Pope Francis stood up today at the general audience, I don't know if they have general audiences on Saturday, but if he stood up today and said, there will be a Argentine World Cup victory. Well, it doesn't mean it's going to happen. He can say that it's going to happen as much as he wants, but if Germany plays better, Argentina's just not going to win, and vice versa. It is.
That
one
would
of
have to be from the devil, then. That's
the Pope can stand up there and he can get,
coming out.
What's funny is I've actually heard people say that, if the Pope says it, every Catholic has to do it. No.
Yeah, I think
The
that's
Pope
so
can't
funny.
tell all Catholics to put on, brown robes and wear brown robes for the rest of their life. No, it ain't going to work that way. The only ones who have to do that are the ones who become Franciscans,
better cancel my brown robe order.
That'd be a good color for you, though, Jeff. You know.
Yeah, nice and drab. Earth tones.
Yeah,
Earth
there you go.
tones.
That's the in style, isn't it? No, I don't know. I wear
So,
black, so.
Actually, I was just reading on one of the Catholic news services that he did at some kind of an audience this morning say that nobody needs to watch the game because Argentina is going to win, so don't bother.
Well,
We
those
shall
sponsors
see.
wouldn't like that.
Well, what if Argentina really does win, and then there's like a mass conversion to Catholicism because of what he said?
That will happen, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think I would. Yeah, I might question the sincerity of those conversions.
Yeah.
People might just get all freaked out.
Well, Father Corey, do you have info on the game? Do you have a speculation on how it's going to go?
You know, I'm kind of a newbie when it comes to soccer / international football, whatever you want to call it.
As
Whatever you
most
happen to call
Americans
it.
are. Myself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've been
this is not
enjoying
the show
watching.
for us to be talking about.
You know, I've been enjoying watching the games. It's something I've started to really get into a little bit, and it's been fun to kind of watch and try to learn the game. And so, yeah, to be honest with you, I don't know. You know, I can't even say which I would go for. You know?
Yeah. Well,
but
Germany dominated Brazil so
just
unbelievably.
destroyed them.
It's kind of hard to think that they won't win just because if they can play that way against Argentina.
Yeah, no kidding.
First, I guess Brazil sort of shot themselves in the foot. I mean, they were just not there.
Oh, that was terrible.
Yeah,
That was embarrassing. What do you think about the fact some people had said, that was kind of unsportsmanlike of Germany to just continue scoring and scoring instead of just saying, okay, 4 or 5 goals ahead, that's probably going to be enough.
No, I mean, it's the World Cup. If you're ever going to play soccer like to the best of your ability, then why not do it then? I mean,
why not rub their faces in it?
Yeah.
That's what she said.
you never know. I mean, I know it takes longer to score in soccer, but I mean, in other sports where it doesn't, you never know if somebody can just rouse, and come back and surprise you. So
yeah, I guess that's a possibility. You have to kind of balance that with not overdoing it, but on the other hand, all of a sudden the team comes back and beats you because you kind of laid off. I don't know.
yeah.
It goes to intent too, doesn't it? I mean, if you're scoring just because you're trying to rub their face in it, that's one thing. But if you're scoring just because you're playing the game, that's different.
Mm-hmm.
Did you all see the Netherlands Argentina match where it came down to penalty kicks at the end?
I wasn't able to watch that one, but I heard part of it on the radio.
Yeah, I didn't get to see that one either, unfortunately, but pretty impressive.
Yeah.
It's there's been quite a few of the games that have come down to that. What, 3 or 4 of them that have come down to penalty kicks?
Yeah.
That shows that they're pretty evenly matched, or at least playing evenly. So I don't know. I kind of find it exciting. I don't think it's a fair way to decide a game, really, but it's still kind of exciting.
Yeah, but then we'd be playing forever, I guess. Until somebody. I guess they could have a system kind of like our American football, where after the overtimes or whatever, then whoever scores first wins the whole thing. But yeah, okay. So that's exciting. I'm going to be watching tomorrow afternoon. I think at 1:00. Is that when it comes on, or 2? And one of the nice things about FIFA sports is that the games start exactly when they say they're going to start. And they only run usually 90 minutes, but I mean you can pretty much count on the game being over within about 2 hours from the time it starts. No commercials. Have you noticed that?
Oh, that's been wonderful.
Wow. That's probably why it wouldn't be successful here in the U.S. But anyway, so it's kind of nice.
They make up for it during halftime when they show 500 commercials in about 3 minutes of here's what's happened during the game. Now more commercials.
Okay, now more commercials, and now the game resumes.
Yeah.
That's what I don't like about football games on TV is when you get to halftime, then they spend the entire halftime just rehashing and showing you what you just watched. And they don't show the band.
I know.
I want to see the band.
Nobody wants to see the band except for Steve and I. So
Band nerd.
yeah, I'm a band nerd.
Yes. Proudly.
band nerds rule. No, that wasn't very good. Looking around to see if I have something I could make a musical sound with. No, I don't.
You don't have a vuvuzela? Oh.
No, I don't. Oh, God.
Those are so annoying.
I cannot stand that. I'm so glad that they banned those things this year.
Yeah. Oh, man. I remember how annoying that. Oh, that got bad.
It's like a swarm of bees, like giant swarms of bees constantly. It's just annoying. I think I'd go insane.
I didn't realize that they had banned them. I thought they had just people had gotten over it.
No, I thought I heard on one of the shows saying that they had just banned their use. Now I know that's a big thing in Africa, and because Africa hosted last time, and so that's why we heard it so much. But so I don't know if it's just a country thing, but I thought that they had banned their use. In the future, just in case anybody got the idea that it was a really cool thing to do.
Yeah, it was fun 4 years ago. Let's do it again.
No, don't do it again. How many of you have been to Brazil? I have not. Anybody here been to Brazil?
No.
Love to go visit
beautiful
sometime.
country. Yeah.
Yeah, Peru is the closest I've been, but I'd really like to go to Argentina. I just hear wonderful things about Argentina.
Yeah.
I think it was kind of interesting when you watch the footage. They'd show the fan area that they had set up with the monster screen. That was the same area where Pope Francis had mass on the beach, or was on the beach there. And if you think about it, a year ago or whatever it was, that beach was full of Catholics to see Pope Francis, and now it's full of people wanting to see the FIFA World Cup. It was pretty interesting to see the contrast.
Yeah, I'm sure there are a lot of different things happening on that beach than
Yeah, exactly.
Different is an interesting.
I have to say though, the Catholic presence during the World Cup has been pretty evident in the number of players I've seen, crossing themselves and things like that, without any sort of embarrassment. So.
And just for a point of record, the match starts tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, but I guess all the coverage is going to start a couple hours before that. So
yeah, I'm surprised the pregame stuff has. Oh, I guess it can't start because they still got a game today. So
that's right. Is it who is it? Netherlands and Brazil today?
Netherlands, Brazil.
I'd like to see Brazil do well in that game.
They say that's actually it turns out in history that turns out to be one of the better games. Not the championship game, but the one that they play today. What time does that come on? Does anybody know? We'll wait, and the chat room will let us know about 30 seconds.
I'm actually glad that the game tomorrow is at 3 Eastern, because that's 1 o'clock here, and that's usually about the time I'm done with my last mass and start driving home. So I'll at least be able to listen to it on my satellite radio on the way home.
Excellent.
So won't have to miss. I was afraid it was 1 o'clock Eastern. I thought I'd heard, and it's like, I'm going to miss it because that's when I work. When I, the 1 day a week priest work, is Sunday, so.
The one day, right? That's all you guys do.
That's all you do. And then the rest of the week you're playing golf and
exactly
doing your podcasting stuff, social media, sitting on the couch and playing video games.
Watching soccer and
apparently. Tell us more about the Sports Fathers show.
Well, I'm kind of a newer member of it, but it was started by some of the brothers up north, up in Canada. Father Darrell, I think, is kind of the spearhead of it. Father Darrell Millette, he got it going, and it's just a bunch of priests who get together and we talk about sports. We're actually the U.S. flavor has come in after CNMC. A bunch of us met, myself, Father Kyle, Father Darrell. We all met at CNMC in Boston last year, and he invited us to join him on the show. And so we get together and we talk about sports. Very much still a Canadian flavor, though we do bring in some U.S. sports, some U.S. things going on. Of course, they watch the sport. They watch the professional leagues down here as on occasion as well, so they definitely know what's going on down here. And of course, some of the leagues do cross. NHL and baseball both cross, so it's fun to be involved in. It's fun to listen to. Of course, sometimes it ends up being guys who, okay, we're sports fans, but we really don't know much else beyond that. But hey, we enjoy the sport, so let's talk about it.
So you talk about more than just curling and hockey?
Oh yeah. Although that does come up. We talked about that during the Olympics. I had to have curling.
Well, what's funny is you being, for the rest of us, you are way far north. But then you said the priest up north. I'm thinking, what?
Yeah.
There's something more north than.
Yeah. There's a whole other country up there, and
well, I like listening to the show, and they'll say, we're going to talk about football, and then they start naming all these Canadian teams, and I'm like, what is this? I don't know any of the teams. I don't know. I have no way of putting them into context. But
was that CFL?
Yeah, CFL, Canadian football, yeah. Which is kind of funny. It's starting. CFL is starting to pick up a fan base here in the States. I know, like a couple of the sports channels here in the States are starting to broadcast CFL games when that season is going on. So it's kind of interesting how that's really developing. Where it's not just Canadian anymore, but it is getting people down here to watch. And it's interesting, of course, to see the difference between that and the NFL, because it's very different. The basics are the same, but some of the rules are a little different. 3 downs instead of 4. The field goals are on the goal line instead of the back of the end zone. Things like that.
Wow.
So it's pretty interesting.
Have you ever watched Australian rules football?
I haven't.
It's insane. It doesn't even. It's more like rugby than anything.
That's what I was wondering.
But you watch it and the things that they do and the way they play, and if you haven't been exposed to it, you don't know the rules. You're convinced they're just making it up as they go.
I think they are.
Yeah.
Actually, I thought Australian rules football was rugby, but they're different things.
Yeah, they're different. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, they're similar in some ways.
But
no, they're very different. But they're brutal. I mean, they don't wear the the pads and things that American football players wear. And so it makes you wonder why people aren't just dying on the field every game.
Speaking of dying, I mean, like the sports, what is it called? The not the wrestling, but the boxing or fighting, UFC or what do they call that?
MMA, mixed martial arts.
Yeah. How is it that people don't die every time they have one of those matches? That's amazing to me to see what they do.
I can't watch.
No, I don't either. I don't like to watch boxing. I don't like to watch any of that stuff. It's just too violent for my soft, gentle nature.
No, and I worry, when what is it, WWE or whatever, the wrestling.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of it is kind of staged, but still, I mean, people are actually getting slammed down on the ground and things like that.
Right.
Then they pan the audience and they show these little bitty kids that are going berserk for this, and I was like,
there's the future.
This has got to mess with your mind. I mean,
yeah.
Because they're going home and they're trying those step out on their little brothers,
Well, they do it anyways. They're just learning it from WWE.
I guess.
They're just doing it fancier.
My brothers and I, we weren't that violent. Our mother, she would allow us to take rolled up newspapers and wail at each other with them, but they make a great noise, but they don't hurt. My mother was pretty smart. Here, if you're going to beat your brother, hit him with this. It's not going to hurt.
Well, why don't we shift from sports to motion pictures? And I was just curious if any of you have seen, I know it just was released yesterday, the new installment of Planet of the Apes, Rise of the Planet of the Apes, I think?
No.
Or no, Dawn.
Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. It looks really intense.
I've heard it's, the critics have been giving rave reviews of it, and I'm not sure what the fans yet think of it. But the reason why I mention it, and normally if I didn't have a boy, well, he's 20 now, he's still a boy, who is a film major and who's getting into all these different genres of film making and everything else. And he wanted to see I said, let's go see the new Planet of the Apes movie. And he goes, no, Dad, I got to see the original 1968 version, and then I have to see the reboot.
Oh, geez.
Wow, he
Rise.
hasn't seen any of those?
No. So I found it on Amazon Prime, instant video, and so we watched it last night, and it was actually, for a 1968 movie, I thought it held up pretty well. You can tell, the special effects and all that kind of stuff are back from the late 60s. Charlton Heston, kind of a cheesy role, but overall, I thought that, especially for back then, and I think they won a bunch of Oscars for all the prosthetics and stuff for making the characters look like apes and such. But so we enjoyed watching that, and then we're going to watch the Rise, which is the reboot version that came out in 2011, and then of course we'll go to the theater and watch the current one, the Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. But do you remember? I remember, the only thing I remember about Planet of the Apes, the original one, is that I was staying with my grandmother in Burbank, California, and I must have been like 10, 11 years old, and my grandmother took me to the drive-in theater to see the movie, and I remember her like taking my head and pushing it down behind the seat. I guess it must have been the scene where the men take their clothes off and jump into the water or something. I don't know. It was the only thing I could. Watching it last night, I'm thinking, well, what exactly was it so offensive to my grandmother to force my head down so I wouldn't, see what was going on? And then of course when my parents found out that my grandmother took my sister and I to see Planet of the Apes, they just went ape on my parents. I mean, on her, because I guess it was considered quite risque back then. But now it seems really, really docile. So I think things have really changed. But
I can't watch those movies.
Steve, why not, Steve?
Well, when I was probably about the same age as you, it was during the summer. I remember my mother dropped me off for an all-day marathon of all 4 of those original movies. So I watched them an entire day.
Oh, jeez.
Wow.
And ever since then, I mean, it kind of messed with my mind,
That's kind of like drinking a bottle of, drinking some rum from the bottle and then ending and drinking the entire bottle of rum and dealing with its consequences and never wanting to drink rum again.
Well, I wasn't quite going to go there, Jeff.
Yeah, well, I have. Back in my college band days. I don't want to talk.
No, but it's just, when they get to the last one where there's the weird sort of nuclear weapon or apocalyptic stuff going on or whatever, and I remember walking out of there and I was like, because this was still the Cold War time, and this was the 70s, I guess I went to see it, and so I don't know. Ever since then, whenever it comes on TV or whatever, it's like, nope, not gonna watch it.
Change the channel. When I heard that, I think the only one I saw was the original one, maybe the one after that. But I heard that it's generally agreed upon that the ones after the original one, until they did the reboot a couple of years ago, were just horrible. They didn't do very well. But
I don't know. But I just
you need 4 of them.
Yeah,
I think there were 4.
4 or 5. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just thought I'd mention that. That was kind of, I always enjoy watching film with my son, because he's learning about all these cinematography things. That's it. That's the word. And
moving pictures things.
Moving pictures and film things. and so much more. I always look at everything and everybody here on the panel would agree at a shallow level. And he was like getting deep. Okay, well, that's enough of that. What else do you want to talk about before we head to our picks of the week? All right, well then, we'll just do that then. How about that? All right. So, who would like to start? Raise your hand. Nobody's raising their hand in the chat. Oh, Steve. I saw Steve's hand.
I'll do it.
Let's go, Steve.
I think I'm the only one who has a pick right now, so he give you some more time.
Let's see. Is it Planet of the Apes?
No. I want to talk about SQPN's new endeavor in online radio, SQPN Radio.
All
So I
right.
saw that big announcement this week, and I guess it started, and it's kind of cool because it's as I understand it, each day kind of has a theme, and it's an online rebroadcast of some of the old archival shows on SQPN. So it's kind of cool to see some of those shows resurrected in a new format. So Jeff, I know
Absolutely.
you've been working on that. So can you? I don't really know any of the details other than
Well,
that.
actually, Father's been doing most of the work on it, and so really, as you said, we have different themes during the week, and like let's see, Throwback Thursday and Fun Day, Sunday Fun Day, and that kind of thing, and a lot of the older shows, as you mentioned, Steve, are being highlighted and presented. And we have a lot more in store for the channel in the future, but at least we got it started, and it's a cool way. I don't know about you, but I love podcasting, and the cool thing about podcasting is it's like a DVR for radio, and you can listen time shift. You can listen to it whenever you want, and if you have to stop to do something else, you can hit pause and then come back to it maybe later on that day or the next day. But there is something to be said about listening to great content in a stream fashion, so that it's always running, and listening to radio and having it on the background. I know a lot of people have jobs that allow them to have something playing in the background while they're doing their normal jobs. It might be something that they sit at a desk and they're in front of the computer anyway, and being able to tap into a station like SQPN Radio and listen to all that great content is really, really nice. I think that that's very appealing to a lot of people. So we're hoping that this will reach, an audience, that we haven't been able to tap in the past. And let's face it, podcasting. I mean, if you're watching this show right now via video, we're not sure exactly how you found us. You might be looking at the SQPN website and the Catholic Weekend page of it. You may know a little bit more, be a little bit more savvy about podcasting, and know how to go to iTunes and find Catholic Weekend and hit the subscribe button, and it goes to your smartphone and tablet and all that kind of stuff. And it's easy, but for 90-something% of the population, they look and a little drool comes down from the side of their mouth when you say podcast or whatever. And so I think that this format is a way for people to tap into all this SQPN goodness, and not have to know how to do a podcast, how to subscribe, and all that kind of stuff. So what do you think about that?
I've been listening to it actually on my Roku box through the Live 365 app.
Oh, I didn't even think about doing that.
It's really a nice way to do it. My computer's down here in my living room, and I can just put it on my TV and just let it run and just sit there and do whatever work I'm doing. And it's really nice. It was kind of fun to listen to. Like the first Daily Breakfast was on Thursday, and the first Saint Cast, and I'm trying to remember what else I've heard. And it's just kind of fun to listen to some of these podcasts, and and admittedly, some of them are ones that I had never listened to before. I'd heard of these podcasts. I knew SQPN did them, and I just never took the time to sit down and say, I should listen to Saint Cast, or I should listen to, Catholics in a Small Town, which I think was on yesterday, and things like that. And I knew who these people were. I knew the podcast, just never listened to them. But it's just nice to be able to leave it running and just kind of listen. And I know that right now it's kind of a limited programming because Father Roderick's just getting it established. But that's even good too, because like if I'm leaving the room, say, to deal with the flood in my basement yesterday, I can still leave it running and come back later and pick up, it would pick up eventually where I'd missed, things like that. So that's pretty nice, though. It is a nice setup, and I'm looking forward to using it.
Excellent.
That's a great testimonial. For that. That's great.
Hey, I actually got a word before you did. Wow.
You did.
That's a banner day here for me. All right, well, that's a great pick. So check out StarQuest Radio by, I think, is it starquestradio.com?
Yep.
Okay, starquestradio.com, and there you can hit the play button and start listening to some great Catholic content.
Yeah, I think today is Sci-Fi, I think.
Yeah, Sci-Fi Saturday.
Yeah.
Sci-Fi Saturday.
Geek Priest, I think, is one of them that's today, yeah.
Uh.
And tomorrow there's a program that they play tomorrow. You might have heard of it, Catholic Weekend, Yeah,
Really? They're letting us be on the radio?
Yeah, I know. I know.
Wow.
It's kind of scary, huh?
That's a gamble, I think. It's a big gamble. Yeah, so we have Manic Monday, Transformation Tuesday, Wednesday Wisdom.
So, I think that's it, right?
Oh, I thought somebody was talking in our... No, what? Do you hear Father?
Someone
Father Roger.
Yeah.
Magic.
And had seen the Mandalorian armor.
What, Father?
Stormtroopers. Who was that again?
What?
Kevin Smith. Didn't Kevin Smith post a selfie of him with a tear in his eye?
Well, that's a little bit of a taste of StarQuest Radio. I really did think that somebody in the panel was talking there, because I went to StarQuest Radio on my the other machine, and I guess it just started playing this stream. So very cool. So if you want to check it out, please do by heading over to StarQuestRadio.com. I've checked it out. It works. All right. Let's see. Angela. Let's go. Boy, girl, boy, boy. Girl. Your turn.
If you insist.
I do.
So here at SQPN, a lot of us are very into digital media, obviously. And many of us help with our parish, maybe helping our parish with their media, or we're involved in a ministry or, a group in our parish or even outside our parish. And a lot of times we get questions about, what's the best way to promote my parish or my ministry online. And so I have a great pick that is from a marketing blog, because part of my work is marketing. And this is just a great secular marketing blog that talks about why you need to tell the story of whatever ministry or parish you're involved in, and why that is the most important part of promoting whatever it is you're promoting, your organization. So it's called Why Your Marketing Needs to Include Your Company's Story. And it's very interesting. It's really engaging. So just wherever it says customer or business, just pop in, person in your parish boundary or parish, just kind of read it for whatever, you're working on, your projects, and I think it'll be really helpful.
A lot of people say that that's where we really need a lot of work in the Catholic Church is marketing our message. Yeah.
And this is just basically all about telling stories, and I think Catholics have always been really good at telling stories, we started with Jesus telling parables, so, and even before that, with creation stories and whatnot, so.
But
I
even
think,
so, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. But
no, I was just going to say, I think we should tap into that.
Yeah. But even so, I'm so encouraged by all the news I read about how seminaries are full and monasteries are full and things like that. I can't remember a time in my life where it's been like that. So signs seem to be pointing toward better things.
We're hopeful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, Father Corey.
Well, mine kind of ties in a little bit to that. It's about evangelization and discipleship, building disciples. And actually, what I picked is a book from Sherry Waddell called Forming Intentional Disciples. Now, I don't have the actual book because I've got the ebook version, so this is the workbook, but you can kind of see what it looks like. The book looks the same. And it's about, it's about really what can we do and how do we do it to get people from being just your lukewarm, average, pew-sitter Catholics to actually becoming an active disciple of our Lord. Active in the parish, active in promoting the faith through evangelization, active in supporting the church, active in supporting what's going on in the church. Because, while there are things like seminaries growing, there are also a lot of parishes where they're shrinking. We see that a lot out here in the rural areas where, the number of people who are going to Mass now are vastly less than what there was 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago. So we really, the book basically says we need this push to try to evangelize and to disciple people, to get people to become disciples. And it's kind of interesting where the first chapter is a bunch of statistics, and it's the statistics of the church over the last many years. I can't remember exactly how far back it goes, but just talking about the percentage of Catholics who have fallen away, the percentage of young people who aren't active in the faith, the percentage of former Catholics who have gone to other churches, percentage of people who just don't have a church, and how those numbers have, the number of people who aren't Catholic have grown, the number of people who don't have a church, they're just completely unchurched, have grown. So, but it starts out on that kind of that depressing point, and I actually have a parishioner here who's reading it who he hasn't gone past page 40, which is kind of the end of the first chapter, because it's so depressing, because the statistics are so depressing, and they are. When you look at how the church has shrunk in some quarters. Now, of course, the church has grown in the United States because of immigration and other things like that. But in other ways, how the church has shrunk, that he's just like, I can't read any further. It's like, well, you just got through the worst part. Now you got to get to the good stuff where it talks about how do we turn this around? And how do we make disciples? And how do we get people to become active and involved and excited? So I really want to encourage people to take a look at this, because I really think it's something that's going to be very important in the next 10, 15 years, is for turning around parishes. And I see someone posted the link in the chat room to her Facebook group, which is an excellent group, talking about how do we implement these things. And they talk about everything from how do you do religious education with an eye of discipleship, how do you do Mass, how do you do RCIA, bringing people into the church, how do you reach out and do like street evangelization, things like anything that can really be done to get people awake and alive and excited and on fire for their faith. So I would definitely encourage people to check that book out.
Excellent choice. And when you were talking about that, I mean, the book reading and how depressing all the stats are and everything else, I think that in a way it's human nature, isn't it? A lot of us will just go, it's bad, it's getting worse, and we just kind of shrug our shoulders and say, forget it. It's not even going to be worth my energy to worry about that. I'll just move on to something else. And a lot of people kind of treat their faith that way instead of, and what's the difference? What makes one person say, well, that's just the way it is, it's going to get worse, I can't do anything about it, and the other person say, you know what, we need to do something about this, and I can be a part of changing it.
And that's the tough part, and I think that's one of the things the book really kind of helps, is if you can help them get past that point of I can't do anything about it, to saying, well, I might not be able to change all the statistics. I might not be able to bring back the 50 or 60% of Catholics or 70% of Catholics who are no longer attending weekly Mass, but I can bring back one. And in fact, one thing I want to implement here in the parish at the end of or towards the end of the book is she's got a 5-year plan to double your intentional disciples in a parish. And of course, in a smaller parish, that might mean we might go from 5 to 10. But in a larger parish, of course, that could mean going from 50 to 100 or 500 to 1,000 in a mega parish, a huge parish. And it's simple things. I'm doing this off the top of my head because, like I said, I don't have the book in front of me. But it's things like, doing Eucharistic adoration, praying the Rosary as a group, doing study activities, study days and things like that. It's just simple things that parishes could do that if you're intentional about it. And of course, there's that word again, intentional, having the intention to bring these disciples up, that you can build the parish. And of course, the more disciples you have, if you've only got 5 disciples, well, those 5 people are the ones running your parish. Those are the ones who are doing the work. Well, you double that number. Now you've got 10 people doing the work. How much more things can you do with 10 pairs of hands and 10 brains thinking of ideas and 10 legs doing the walking that needs to be done, and so on down the line. And of course, you do another 5 years and hopefully you can double again, and so on. So that's kind of my focus here, It's just doing something concrete where we can say, okay, no, we're not going to bring every Catholic in Malta, Montana back that should be here. But can we bring back 5 more people? Can we bring back 10 more people? And start the process.
That sounds very much like some of the things that Mother Teresa wrote about.
Probably very much same ideas.
Well, we all know that whatever kind of an organization you're in, whether it be your parish or your Boy Scout troop or whatever kind of an organization, there's always just a very small minority of people that do all the work.
Mm-hmm.
And so just for selfish reasons, to increase the double the intentional disciples at your parish makes it easier on you. So
Yeah,
you
exactly.
do everything.
Priests like that idea because they say, oh, hey, here's more people that I can pass this good stuff off to. And I don't have to do it.
And then even, financially, if we could just get everybody just to give something. I mean, there's so many people in our parishes that still, I think, really do have this idea that all the money is in Rome at the Vatican and it flows downward to all the parishes, and we're just, stumbling over all the riches. And what people don't, I mean, I'm talking about every day, every Sunday churchgoers that kind of, in their head, I think they really believe that. And they don't understand, no, it goes the other direction. It's like we are responsible for raising money for our mortgage and electricity and everything else and paying for that diocesan newspaper. It doesn't just happen because the Church of Rome is just, overwhelmed with all the riches. And I think that if people understood that and gave the price of a cup of coffee at Starbucks every week, that would make a huge impact, in addition to the people who give considerably more.
Well, I was joking once that that parishioners are probably still sitting in the same pews they were 30 years ago, and they're probably still giving the same amount they were 30 years ago. And it's and 30 years ago what they were giving was probably pretty decent. Not so much anymore.
Right. Inflation and all that kind of stuff you had to consider.
Yep. Exactly.
Are you talking to me, Father? Is that what you're doing?
I don't know. I haven't looked at your parish's books yet. I'll have to go find one.
Okay.
Jeff Nielsen. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I guess it's my turn. Can we just skip my turn? No?
Sure.
Okay. No. I have a couple picks, actually. Check out the Sports Fathers at thesportsfathers.com. I also agree with Steve's pick. It's not my pick. It's his. StarQuest Radio. Really need to check that out as well. And you need to watch the FIFA World Cup Championship match tomorrow and today. The one that's not the championship match. So, World Cup soccer. That's my pick as well. How's that for being?
I just love how you're just riding the coattails today.
There you go. Thank you. Hey, I'm busy steering this train or driving this train or whatever people do. I always get a kick out of people saying, "Hey, nice driving there" when I'm flying the airplane. And a little bit of it was driving because I do drive it on the ground, but most of it was flying. But I get what they mean. So, all right. Angela Cialana, how can we read your lovely prose and learn more about you?
Oh, thank you. You can go to inspiredangela.wordpress.com. And I actually finally created a Facebook page because I know people want to stay in touch that way as well. So you can go to facebook.com/inspiredangela and just like it and stay in touch.
That's my pick of the week, Inspired Angela on Facebook. That was going to be it the whole time. I mean, just look at that Google document that we had before we started the show, and that's what I put right there, unless Lynn erased it. Just kidding. Okay, Steve.
Everythingesteban.com.
All right, what's happening over there?
Not a lot. I started this Catholic photo challenge thing. I don't know. I forget how long ago, a couple months ago. And, I don't know, maybe I'm starting to think I need to rethink it a little bit because it kind of fizzled this last one, and I don't know if it's exactly what the challenge that I proposed or something. So if you like photography and you want to express your faith through photos, go over and have a look at it and tell me what you think. If you have any suggestions about future challenges or whatever, let me know. I could use some input.
Wonderful. Everything Esteban.
Everything Esteban.
I'm really not pronouncing that correctly. Sorry.
Nice list.
And Father Corey, how can we see you in the digital realm?
Well, I put it all here on my little lower third here, but just in case, it's my Twitter and Facebook is FR Corey Stika, and I have webpage where I post my homilies mostly. Rarely I'll post a blog post of my thoughts, but usually just my homilies at frcory.org, frcory.org.
See, even he doesn't use his last name in his website.
Yeah.
That's cool that you could get that domain name. That's awesome.
Yeah, I've had it for a while. It's pretty nice. So like my email address is on that. I use the at frcory.org email address. So
excellent. So those of you listening to the podcast, the audio only version, just head over to catholicweekend.sqpn. No, Catholic Weekend. Shoot. catholicweekend.sqpn.com. There we go. And you can find out. You can see all those links that our lovely Lynn Francisco does for us every week graciously. Thank you. And I'll have to put that paycheck in the mail for you, Lynn. I know you're waiting for it. Don't hold your breath. And let's see. I am the airline pilot guy, also the Catholic pilot. And the reason why I mention that is that's how I started my podcasting adventure. By being the Catholic pilot, but it didn't take long before I realized that nobody was really concerned about the Catholic stuff. All they wanted to, read about or listen to was the flying stuff. So I rebranded it about a year and a half after doing it. But I do have several episodes of Catholic Pilot. I used to have them all, but I kind of screwed up when I was doing something on my media server, and ended up deleting every single episode of Catholic Pilot from the servers. And now I am very, very slowly and arduously trying to get those. I have a lot of the Catholic Pilot episodes in various places on backup drives and that kind of thing, but not all of them. In fact, I counted this morning, about 11 of them I don't have. So I'm hoping that maybe somebody out there will have, maybe they kept some of the older episodes, or actually mostly the later episodes of Catholic Pilot. And if you do have some of those, let me know, because I could use them. Because, again, I'm trying to re-upload to the servers and fix all the links on my Catholic Pilot website and everything else. But I was listening to my very first couple of episodes, and it's interesting to hear yourself. Steve, do you ever do that? Go back and listen to some of your On the U episodes?
Well, I haven't done that lately, but yeah, it's painful.
I know.
I loved that podcast so much. I was such a big On the U fan. Yeah.
Bring it back.
Well, actually, there's a possibility that could be happening.
Oh, good. Excellent.
Maybe.
Well,
Maybe not.
Yeah, okay, well, we'll include that in our prayers as well. But, yeah, so anyway, so I was listening to the first couple of episodes because a lot of the people that listen to the Airline Pilot Guy show want to hear some of those Catholic, those earlier episodes of Catholic Pilot, and that's when I realized that I had really broken everything, and I had deleted my own shows, and I wasn't a good computer person by making sure I had really good backups of all that stuff. So, anyway, that's it. So check out CatholicPilot.com or AirlinePilotGuy.com if you're interested in aviation. And if you're interested in my conversion story, that's on Catholic Pilot. And I'm not sure if those episodes are there yet or not, but hopefully they will be soon. Okay. So, with that, anything else we want to say before we part this week? No. So, with that, wishing everyone a wonderful weekend and a great week, and hopefully we'll see you back here next week on the next episode of Catholic Weekend. Take care, and God bless.
Hey, I told you it was going to be a good episode. This
Yeah,
was
it
fun.
was.
I really like this.
Yeah.
But we had a good time.
Thank you, Father Corey, for joining us.
Oh,
Yeah.
it was fun. Glad to join. It was a lot of fun.
It's always good to have you on. So
You should come back next week because one thing that I thought we should have talked about but didn't think about it in time is this whole case in Louisiana about the seal of confession.
Oh, completely forgot about that.
yeah.
Yeah.
what was that?
There's the Supreme Court in Louisiana is trying to force a priest to reveal a confession because it relates to a court case. And so,
Why didn't you bring that up?
because I thought of it late, and it was like,
I completely forgot about it too.
Yeah, I just read about it this morning.
Oh, let's go ahead and start a new show then. And, you guys doing anything the next hour?
I am.
Yes.
I'm just kidding.
Well, let's make sure we put that on the list because I think we really should talk about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Lynn, she'll get this in about 2 minutes from now. If you don't mind, putting that on the in the Google Doc for next week's show. Talk about that case down in Louisiana.
And I would like to hear it when Father Carl's going to come on the 26th, and he lives in that state. So
Oh,
I'd be
that's right,
interested to
yeah.
hear his
Oh yeah.
take on that too.
Yeah. Well, maybe we should do it then. In
Yeah.
2 weeks.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows what'll be the outcome by then?
Yeah.
Mhm.
What else is happening that weekend? 26th, 27th. Oh, okay. No. Next, a week from tomorrow, is the John Clem is making his profession to the
nice.
Oh, that's right.
secular
Have that in my
Franciscan
calendar.
order. And prayers again to Maria Johnson, who lost her father has been sick for quite some time, and he passed away earlier. Was it this week or last week?
I think it was
Last weekend,
wasn't it?
actually, last Saturday.
Mhm.
And so our prayers go out to Maria, her family, and her father, who will definitely benefit from our prayers.
Yes.
And so unfortunately, Maria wasn't able to join us this week, but she'll be back next week on the next episode, hopefully, of Catholic Weekend. So.
And Sarah Vabulous is in Boston.
Sarah,
So
I don't know
she'll
what
be
the heck
joining
she's
us.
doing.
Oh, she's having a good
Did you
time.
see her on Catholic TV?
No, I
have not
didn't.
yet.
I didn't get
So I
a
know
chance to
that
watch that yet.
you should
either.
check
She was
it out.
supposed to make a big announcement. Do we know what that is yet?
Yeah. She did make it on Catholic TV, so it's public now.
Oh, so we can talk about her book deal.
Yes.
Oh, that's what it was? Oh,
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome. Terrific.
And I don't remember the exact details. What is it going to be called? Something to do with her Catholic drinky thing.
I think it was like Catholic drinky, homebrewed evangelism, or I don't know, It was
Nice.
Catholic drinky, homebrewed
That's
something. I don't
Looking
remember.
it up here and
Nothing
see if
really
I
to
can.
faith. So
Trying to
anyway,
see
when
if I
she
can
comes
find
back, we can talk about that.
The Catholic Drinkie's Guide to Homebrewed Evangelism.
There you go.
Excellent.
All right. So let's see, Angela, have you written a book?
No,
So
not yet.
you're not a book author. Father Corey, have you?
Nope. Unless you
Steve?
take all my homilies, I guess it could be, but no.
Write a book. Steve.
I wrote a master's degree thesis, but you don't want to read it.
It's not on the New York Times bestseller list.
It's not even on my own shelf.
Well, I've not written any books either, although I'm reading a book that from a guy named Scott Crossfield who flew the X-15 experimental thing. And the reason why I'm reading it is because it was something that was given to me when I was 2. And it was signed by Scott, and best wishes to Jeffrey, and my father had him sign it for me. And it had disappeared for a couple of decades, and I just recently came back or found it. And
Wow.
so, and in the very beginning of it, it says every pilot should write their own book. I'm thinking, well, that ain't happening. Anyway, the reason why I mentioned the author thing is that Maria Johnson is an author. She has a few self-published books out there. And what was the name of it? It says it's like a fictional story about something about Cubanita. Anyway, and now Sarah Vabulous is going to be amongst the Catholic authors on our show. So
Wow.
that's great.
We've had quite a few, though. I mean, Lisa
Yeah.
Handy, Pat Goes.
Yeah.
Father Roderick.
Father Roderick.
Greg Willits. Jennifer
Greg
Willits.
Yeah.
Lots of really smart people.
Jeff Young, no?
Jeff
yeah.
Young.
Yeah.
Yeah. Saw Jeff in Charlotte at the Catholic Media Conference. Didn't get a chance to really, drink a couple beers and really talk, but I did see him for a short period of time, and he's doing well. Looks great. And anyway, all right. Well, what do you think we go ahead and shut this thing down?
Shut her down.
Shut her down.
Yeah,
Get her done.
my brother is calling me.
Oh, I thought you were playing some kind of theme music for us leaving.
Oh,
That's actually a loop I made on in GarageBand one time, and I use it in my ringtone.
Nice.
Cool. Okay. Well, I'll let you go, Steve and Father Corey and Angela and everybody in the chat room. Thanks for hanging out with us this Saturday morning. And again, Lynn, thank you for all the work you do for us, and we do appreciate it. And we'll see you back here next weekend, hopefully, God willing.
All right.
Bye all.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you, Father.
Pleasure to be here. It's been fun.